Today, let's go over some research I did that I put on my Substack about China and Japan relations, specifically Japanese businesses investing in China. I just want to say to anybody who is Chinese, what I'm about to say is not antagonistic to China. My goal is just to make the world a better place, and I believe in the future when people of both countries, both regions of the world, can put away the hostilities and have a better future. So, what I have to say is not because I hate China. Let's go. Alright, the title of this article is there a connection between attacks on Japanese citizens in China and Japanese companies shifting focus elsewhere? Okay, the first article is called How Many Japanese Companies Are Investing in China in 2024? Where are they located the most? As you can see, Japanese investment has pretty much stayed the same over the past 10 years. However, it did drop in 2022 and it has recovered a little bit in the past 2 years. So, the number of Japanese companies investing in China increased by 328 this year. 2022 was a low point with 12,706 companies. This drop has seen a recovery since then with 13,034 companies involved in the country this year. And where are these companies mostly based? In Shanghai, Guangdong, and Jiangsu, and Liaoning. Guangdong, Shanghai, and Jiangsu make sense because they are on the coast, especially Jiangsu and Shanghai, because they are kind of closer to Japan in terms of geography, and Guangdong because it's historically been a port. Liaoning is interesting because that is where the Japanese had their client state during World War II, so there are history there. So main industry is manufacturing, then wholesale, then service industry. Okay, next article. Japanese companies accelerate their decoupling China policy. Equipment investment in China is down 16% from April to June. This chart here is quite interesting. For you Americans, did you know that Japan invests in North America more than any other region? And below, we see that Europe actually eclipsed China this year for the first time in terms of Japanese investment. So, even though people are criticizing Europe for being asleep at the moment, this is good news. So China remains the second largest export market for Japanese products and the largest source of imports. Despite this, the declining power of Japanese automakers is leading to the country getting deprioritized as the investment location. Just this year, Nissan closed its Changzhou plant, which makes up 10% of its China production. It is planning to make similar measures in the future. Honda has done the same with its plant in Guangzhou and Hubei. I think that should be Hubei. I need to check. But in fact, for 7 quarters now, Japan has been investing more in Europe. Nippon Steel and Fujikura are two companies scaling down their investment in China. The former company ended its joint venture with China Baowu Steel Group, meaning a 70% reduction in the country. Overall, Japanese investment in equipment decreased by 16% from 2023. So feel free to read this more. Next article is Japanese capital accelerates its exit from China. So most notably, we have Panasonic laying off people in Qingdao, which is in Shandong province on the coast again. And this has been an important company for the Qingdao government over the past 30 years in terms of taxes. Since 2012, the number of Japanese nationals in China has dropped by 30%. I also like this article that it talks about the attacks on Japanese children in China over the past year or so. And this is where I get the title for this article, and that they believe that maybe Japanese companies are considering elsewhere because they are worried about the nationalism in China. So basically, if you are worried about China's economy in the future, my Chinese friends, speak up against anti-foreign stuff like this, because it is hurting China as well, and it is hurting mankind. Can't we just be friends? Next, Japanese automobiles, a barometer of Japanese investment in China. This basically goes over some of the similar stuff that Japanese companies have been losing market share in China. However, they are not focusing completely away from China, even though they are going to countries in Southeast Asia. They realize that they are having to compete with Chinese companies even in these other regions, and it is better to kind of form new joint ventures with Chinese companies to compete in the arising EV landscape. If you are more interested in this, I have some notes on here, as well as some terms. Follow me on Substack for more interesting economic stuff like this, or just on TikTok here for me just to ramble about it. What do you think? Bye bye.